Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This channel is all about hiking gear, hiking tips and tricks, and everything you need to know about hiking. So if you like this, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. My name is Dory, and today I'm going to talk to you about how you can leave no trace. In this video, I'll just remind you of how you can avoid leaving a trace. Unfortunately, the leave no trace principles are a little bit like smoking because people still need to get reminded that they can't smoke indoors or in airplanes or something like that. But yet, they actually know that they can't do it. But the leave no trace principles is the same thing. When you go into nature, you're not there to damage anything or to ruin it for everything else. The first leave no trace principle actually talks about planning ahead and preparing for your hike. And it basically means that we need to educate ourselves or about local maps or in the local areas and what are the local rules. So an example of that is the use of drones. In a lot of places it's actually prohibited to film with a drone. It's a very good thing to know the rules and regulations in the area. And another interesting thing that you can do to leave no trace is actually when you're going on a multi-day hike, you can repackage your food to minimize waste on trail. The second principle of leave no trace talks about traveling and camping on durable surfaces. What they mean by that is we have to avoid damaging vegetation and walk or camp on surfaces that can tolerate the pressure. If you want to leave no trace when you're camping, just look out for existing camp spots if you're going wild camping and avoid places where the impact is minimal just to avoid further damage. Third principle is dispose of waste properly. I can't stress this enough, and it goes hand in hand with all the principles that I'm talking about in this video. Is when you pack it in, pack it out again as well. So everything you pack on your hike, pack it back out. But we're not only talking about rubbish, we're also talking about human waste. So one of the tips I can give you for leaving no trace is actually dispose of your human waste properly. And you can do that by digging a hole at least 15 centimeters deep, doing your business and then covering it back up. So not only will that prevent human waste coming in contact with water, it will also be able to decompose itself quicker. A lot of people actually have no clue about what they can and cannot leave on the trail, and that's why I'm particularly saying when you pack it in, you have to pack it out again as well, because for example when you're eating a piece of fruit, the peel of a piece of fruit might actually be poisonous to certain animals, and if it's not in the natural environment of where you are, then always take it with you. The most important thing to remember is if you're not sure, then always take it back. And even better, leave the place cleaner than when you found it. Alright, principle 4 talks about leave what you find. So that basically means leave shells, plants, everything else alone as you found it. And more specifically, definitely in Australia, do not touch any Aboriginal rock art or disturb Aboriginal sites. Alright, like we are lucky enough to live in this country, and if we damage those sites, it's not only disrespectful, but it's just there's so much history involved in those places. Something else that you might not know is in Western Australia in particular, I don't know about the rest of Australia, but it's illegal to pick wildflowers and you can get a fine of up to $5,000, guys. So as someone who immigrated into Australia myself, I didn't know that. So I think it's important that I mention this in this video because a lot of people are new to hiking and are getting out there and might not know these things, okay? So leave what you find, and especially the wildflowers. Don't touch them. Principle 5 talks about minimizing campfire impact. So we all want to make a fire sometimes because it can be cold, or maybe there's a fire pit in the place. But it's good to remember to only make fires when you're allowed to, and always use the designated fire pits if there are any. If there are no designated fire areas, then just keep your fire small, and most important thing is make sure your fire is out when you're leaving site. This should go without saying because it just prevents bushfires, okay? And definitely in Australia we had a horrific year this year. We don't want to repeat the same thing next year, and we want to just avoid any bushfires in general. If the campfire is out and there's no designated fire pit, try and always bury the fire so that you minimize the impact that it might leave. Alright, we're on to the sixth leave no trace principle, and that is respect the wildlife. This is again an obvious one, but when it's mating season or when it's nesting season, animals can be a lot more vulnerable than usual, and it's important not to approach any animals in those sensitive seasons, and always observe from a distance, not only for your safety but also for their comfort, because some wildlife might feel threatened when you come too close to the nest. Something important to know is never feed the animals, because it not only interrupts their habits of getting food, but it avoids pests, and with that comes as well always store your food away to avoid pests. And definitely don't approach wildlife, because they might feel threatened, and therefore you're also more susceptible to an attack when an animal feels threatened. And the last leave no trace principle talks about always be considerate to your hosts and other visitors in the area. Okay, so this basically means don't camp on the trail, camp away from the trail and other visitors if you're camping. Avoid loud noises, such as speakers and stuff like that, because it's not only disrespectful, it also ruins someone else's experience. Alright, so these were the 7 principles of leaving no trails. I hope I've given you a few tips that you will remember on how to leave no trace when you're out in the bush. And basically, it's a really good thing to lead by example, because if you do it, someone else might see you do it and they might do the same things. It will not only make others' experience more enjoyable, but also your own. Okay, so don't ignore the issue, but lead by example. And just, a lot of people have no clue that they can't leave their orange peel or eggshells in the wild, like including me in the beginning. I had no clue, so if you ignore the issue, it's worse than to address it, because people might actually think that you have a valid point instead of being upset about it. I just want to throw that out there, because we do live in a society where no one cares, or no one seems to care, and for me it really pisses me off, because if everyone starts to act like that, then where are we going with this world? Alright, that was my rant for the day. I hope you liked this video. I hope I've given you some tips, and if you like this, please give this video a thumbs up. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! If it is out, always, try and burn the fire. Not only for your safety, but also for their comfort, because if you interrupt when it's mating season or when it's nesting season, animals can be a lot more vulnerable than usual, and it's important not to approach any animals